Hello everybody, it is currently January 3rd, and today we are going to be going over the upcoming weather patterns and see what winter has in store for us. Now, today we are talking about temperatures. This is the 2M temperature anomaly in Fahrenheit. Dates are in the upper right corner of your screen. This is today. As you can see, we've got colder, leaning below average temps in the east, unless you're down south, and moderate Pacific air in the west. As we scroll on through the days, you can see some cold shots of air in the east, great northeastern states, so that's New York, Maine, and Rhode Island, and cold air in BC, and also parts of Alberta. And then we see mild Pacific air moving from the west to the east. Now, I've seen this happen before, but this is the first time I've seen it this year. And then as we scroll on, we have some colder air moving down to Texas and New Mexico, and also parts of Arizona as we move on through the 12th and the 7th, 18th. And then we have possibly more Arctic air up in Canada that could possibly roll down into the eastern United States. Unless there's like a ridge in the eastern United States that would block it and push it into the west. But yeah, it depends on a lot of things. Now let's go back to the long range forecast. Let's go to the Euro winter. Let's see what this means for snow. This is the 32-day snow in inches. As you can see, let me scroll on. Max that out. This is February 18th. Wow. As you can see here, we have a lot of snow for the United States, unless you're sorry for yawning. So we've got some brief sets of maybe 3 to 5 inches in Mexico. Texas is going to, unless you're in this northern part of Texas, is going to be covered with up to 2 inches. Florida, and I can't believe I'm even mentioning this, Florida rarely sees snow. I mean, last year it was crazy because they were just like these blizzards on the Florida beaches, and it was crazy. I've seen some pictures. Washington State is going to be covered in very high snow totals, especially in the higher elevations and higher areas of the Cascade Mountains. Even in the Sierras are going to have some snow. So, states with snow, we're talking Maine, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, North Dakota, South Dakota, Colorado, Four Corner states, Northwest, Mountainous West, whatever you want to call it, tons of snow. Appalachian Mountains, less snow, but if you're in Maine, I would say bet on 24 inches plus, because these white colors, there's a snow meter bar in inches down here, by the way, if you want to check that out. Looking at the 46-day snow total in inches, 46-day extended forecast. This is the Euro extended. This is in inches also. As you can see, tons of snow for the Cascades and Sierras, and those higher elevations are really going to be seeing tons of snow. Same story for Maine, Rhode Island, New York, Detroit here also going to have some. Chicago, 12 to 16 inches probably. You could see a lot of snow. I can really start to see that. So that's what this cold air is going to mean. Tons of snow. Looking at the control, you could see maybe it went a little bit further north than the last one, and you can see there's still going to be snow in Maine, maybe even a little thin band of the purple color. I could feel like I could barely see it there, so that could be 48 inches, it could be 38. Tons of snow for the mountainous west, all of Oregon, all of Washington, all of Idaho, all of Montana, especially western Montana, is going to be covered in really high snow totals, 48 inches plus. Honestly, these numbers are just estimates. The dark purples here, like this 48 to max out the bar, like these 48 in these purple zones, it could be like 100 inches, 200 inches, 300 inches and up. You could see there's tons of snow. And this is on February 18th, 2026. The dates are up here, like I said. That's a lot of snow. For lots of people, there's going to be some pretty high snow totals. Looking at these 7-day snow totals in inches, this is actually January 10th. And moving onward, you can see that rain has been getting rid of some of those snow totals in the west. Then we start to build that back on. And then we have high snow totals down here. So that's kind of how it's going to work. Going back to the regular European, going to temperature. This is the 2M temperature Fahrenheit. This is kind of what we're going to be seeing here. I'll click play. Here, this is kind of what we're going to see. We're going to have the snow line is this blue, purple, red stuff. And then we have this bars down here, like I said, like these greens are really cold, the blues are 100, negative 100, or 100 degrees below normal. That's this line right here. We've got the greens, we've got the pinks. So yeah, this is kind of your rough estimate of what to expect for this. And this is the latest run, as you can see right here. Selected run is the latest. Looking at the 2M anomaly, you can see kind of the same story here. You can see those Arctic temperatures up into Canada. Looking at the GFS model, it's showing a similar story, just doesn't show quite as cold temps up in Canada as you would like to be seeing for that deep snowpack. Back to the European, let's go to let's do pressure actually, no precipitation. All right, this is the 120-hour precipitation total in inches. As we scroll on, we see some below average precipitation in the west. We see pretty dry, relatively dry in the south, in the central United States. But really at the beginning, we've got, with those atmospheric rivers and everything that's been hitting the west coast, tons of precipitation totals. It's been pretty crazy. Looking at the 15-day anomaly in inches, as we scroll on, we can see. Actually, it's not letting me scroll. That's probably because it's the long range. All right, anyways, let's do wind. This is surface wind. This is 10-meter wind gust in miles an hour. As we scroll on, we could see some light to moderate winds in the west at the beginning. But overall, it's not the worst thing. We don't have the worst winds right now, but that could change. You never know. Looking at our wind shear in knots. This is 850 to 250 millibars, so this is pretty high up in the atmosphere, around 10,000 feet. So you can see, moving on. High winds up there. These reds are like 100 miles an hour. But that's not the surface winds. That's like 10,000 feet in the atmosphere. And I'm pretty sure a lot of these areas, unless you're in the Cascades, aren't going to be having high winds like that because it's just so high up in the atmosphere. This is the 500 millibar height. I thought we'd look at this. This is the European. You can see a low pressure system moving on there. Lows, highs. H stands for high, L stands for low, in case you didn't already know that. You can see this L right here, low. That's low pressure, that's rain, storminess if it's low enough pressure. That's just about all the weather talk I got for you today. So until next time, I'm probably going to get going here. So it's going to be just about now that I click goodbye.